The 2007 Red Bull Air Race World Series continues right here on FSN. Welcome to the capital city of the UK, Big Ben, the Tower Bridge. And today, right above the Thames River and the O2 Arena, it is time for Stop 6 of 10 on the Red Bull Air Race World Series. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Goldberg. Welcome to Stop 6 here on the 2007 Red Bull Air Race World Series. Joined as always by my partner, Alan Preston, former combat aviator and Air Race World Champion. Alan, we come to the UK, surprise, surprise. Cold, rainy, miserable. We've been freezing all weekend. And these elements will challenge our pilots.
Oh man, they're really going to. These guys are going to face a really different type of challenge today. The winds are gusty, they're beating them up down there, and all these guys pride themselves on their reflexes, their ability to assimilate the course requirement and make a rapid adjustment. Today we're going to find out which one of them is really the best at that.
In fact, Alan, the conditions were so bad the past couple of days, a lot of the practice sessions were actually canceled. That may affect our pilots as they get set to compete as well. I can tell you, at least it's not raining today, as you see the shot down at the tarmac there. Steve Jones, the Brit, he hopes to electrify the hometown crowd today. He will be challenged for the title here by Mike Mangold. Mike Mangold having a tremendous season. Mike Mangold comes in as the number 2 seed. The top seed is the Brit himself, Paul Bonhomme, who happens to be our points leader right now. Now, once again, keep in mind, 12 pilots attempt to qualify for each stop here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series circuit. The top 8 advance to the quarterfinals based on their qualifying time. I mentioned Bonhomme is the top seed. Mangold is the number 2 seed. Besenyei, the number 3 seed. Alex MacLean will open with the Brit Nigel Lamb in the 4-5 matchup. Now, Ellen and I have already touched upon the challenge that the weather will present. And for more on the challenges of this demanding course here in the UK, we welcome in the third member of our broadcast team. Here is Emma Griffiths.
Guys, first of all, welcome to my hometown. It is lovely to have you here. Now, the word these pilots are using to describe the course here in London is precise. Hundreds of minute calculations and corrections from end to end. Always rolling, always moving, not the heaviest of G-force and not the most lightning fast track, but one that will punish these guys with valuable lost seconds if mistakes are made. Back to you.
Emma, thank you very much. This track built on the Thames River, and who better to break it down for us than the Brit himself, our points leader, Paul Bonhomme.
Okay, hello everybody, this is Paul Bonhomme, race number 55 at the Red Bull Air Race in London, UK, and I'm just about to show you the track. It looks very straightforward on paper, but actually it's quite complicated and extremely fast. We're going to aim for gate 1. It's quite bumpy here today, as you can probably see. Gate 1 we take as fast as we possibly can from the start, and we get lined up hopefully to go straight to gate 2. And then the chicane. This is quite hard work. A little bit close to that one. This is a knife edge gate here, and then round to the other knife edge through the quattro, and this is where the work starts. Here at the quattro, sorry about the voice. And there we go, knife edge through here, quickly round to the next knife edge gate. Knife edge there, quickly left to this level gate, and then back to the chicane. A little bit wide on that one, and a little bit low there. Last 2 gates coming up. Level through this one, and level through that one. That was the Red Bull Air Race track of London 2007.
A place where Bonhomme would love to win here today in his homeland. We are getting set for a great day of racing. To the tarmac we go as the pilots start their engines. Before we begin the Battle of Britain, let's remind you of the rules and regulations here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series. The course must be passed through in the proper fashion, horizontal through the blue gates, vertical or so-called knife edge through the red gates. Penalties are incurred for the following. The first, flying too high over a gate, a 3-second penalty. an incorrect level of play, that's also a 3-second penalty. Incorrect knife edge flight through a red gate, 3-second penalty assessed. Touching a gate is a 10-second penalty added to your time. And if a pilot deviates off course at any time, he will be disqualified. Oh, the fans are ready for the greatest show off Earth. London, the most populous city within the city limits in the European Union. The official population, nearly 8 million. Let's get the quarterfinals started. It will be the number 2 seed, Mike Mangold, against the number 7 seed, Kirby Chambliss, in a battle of the 2005 and 2006 World Series champions. Chambliss was ousted in the first round in our last stop in Switzerland. Man, he'd like to get back on track this season at some time.
Number 1 Kirby cleared into the track. Smoke on.
Okay, smoke on, cleared in, number 1 Kirby.
Chambliss is yet to defeat fellow American Mike Mangold in a head-to-head battle. His wife Kelly, his daughter Carly Nicole in attendance today. Kelly is also a pilot, but the man who has to be the outstanding pilot today is that man, Kirby Chambliss. He opens up this course, which consists of 23 gates on the Thames at almost 230 miles per hour. Look at him just wheel through the course here in London.
Hey, that's not so easy to do in all that turbulence, Mike.
Pulling hard out of the quadro. And remember, Paul Bonhomme said, Alan, that's where the fun begins.
You know, it is fun. This course looks easy. It looks like some of the other courses, but the way it's laid out is really physically taxing on these pilots.
What about the layout makes it so demanding on our world-class pilots?
Well, first of all, it's right over the Thames River right here. The wind is blowing really hard. It's really bumpy down there. These guys have to work about twice as hard to fly the same precise course they're accustomed to.
Well, I can tell you for certain, the one thing that Kirby Chambliss is not accustomed to is missing the podium. And another thing that's really starting to beat him down are the beatdowns that Mangold has been giving him all season. Mangold, a perfect 3-0 in head-to-head matchups against, I would still say, his arch-rival Kirby Chambliss.
Absolutely, these guys are rivals. Every one of us knows how difficult it is to repeat as a champion, but I haven't seen very many that have struggled like Kirby has. He's just having one problem after another. This poor guy can't buy a break.
Trying to break out of the slump here in London. Final 2 gates. Let's see what type of time Chambliss can post here in this quarterfinal run. It's 1:27.36. Actually faster than the top qualifying time of Paul Bonhomme.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job there, Mike.
His wife Kelly, as I said, also a pilot in attendance. She doesn't look like she feels very comfortable with the time her hubby just turned in.
You know, I think she's probably more worried about Mike Mangold because she knows every time he flies, he gets faster.
And Mangold has his own problems. Today he's flying with a yellow card issued during his qualifying run for an airspace infraction.
And the big problem with that, Mike, is that if Mangold gets one more, say for low flying, which we all know he's been prone to do in the past, hey, they'll disqualify him.
Number 3 Mike cleared into the track. Smoke on.
You know, it's funny, we were all over Mangold early saying, oh, when's he gonna win again? When's he gonna win again? He finally won in Istanbul, Turkey. But other than Paul Bonhomme, and it's the closest of gaps right now, he has been the most consistent all season long.
I think he probably heard you asking the question, Mike, and he stamped this answer all over the series.
All right, wait a second. I wasn't the only one asking that question, in all fairness.
In all fairness, I think all of us asked the question. We all wanted to know what had happened to Mike Mangold, the champion. But I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind that he's back, and he's really back hard.
Great shot in the cockpit, 8.9 Gs through the quadro, and he has the slightest of leads through the early part of the course.
You know, I think the second part of the course right here is where Mike Mangold always flies better, and I think he's just physically tough. This is the kind of course that's going to give him a chance to show that.
Does this come down to the physical conditioning of a Mike Mangold? Is that why he's better than he was 1 season ago?
It does come down to the physical conditioning, but it also comes down to the heart. Some people just will not lose.
0.63 seconds in the lead after the second split. 7 gates to go. Mangold trying to advance once again to the semifinal round. And in doing so, he would send Kirby Chambliss to the sidelines very early again. Oh my goodness, now look at his lead. 1.72 seconds.
We got to look at his face a couple of pylons ago, and you could see the determination in it. And like we pointed out, he's going to fly the second part of this race as tough as he possibly can. This guy really wants to win.
And he has, with a time of 1:25.79 seconds, advancing to the Final Four.
Kirby, 1 minute 27.36, no penalties. Number 3, Mike, 1 minute 25.79, no penalties. Mike goes into the semis.
Thank you guys. Real nice job, Kirby.
So Mangold moves on, and Chambliss goes home disappointed again. And this is how he did it. Take a look at our exclusive Dartfish replay technology. This is where we take both pilots' lines of flight. We put them side by side, and you at home can see exactly where the races are won and where they are lost.
All right, Mike, this is a great shot of both airplanes right down on top of the Thames, and you can see where Mike Mangold won this race. It's really rough down there, and he's simply better at getting his airplane lined up with the pylons, and on top of that, I think he's got a faster airplane.
Alan, a great look again, courtesy of our Dartfish replay. All right, so Mangold is in the Final Four. Peter Besenyei, the number 3 seed, would like to join him there. But to do so, he will have to better the big man, Frank Verstey. So much more flying ahead right here from London on the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Welcome back to London, England. Welcome back to the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. This is stop 6, and while you were away, we had the 4-5 matchup between the Spaniard Alex MacLean and the Brit Nigel Lamb. Lamb was the 3rd Brit to qualify in the top 8 for this contest right here in the UK, but he was sent home packing in front of his fellow countrymen.
Thank you very, very much. I'm really sorry for Nigel and the Brailing team. Sorry for you. I'm happy for me. Thank you.
Well, Alex, I'm sure there's others happy for you as well. And the Brits are disappointed for Nigel Lamb. Alex MacLean in the semifinals for the 3rd time this season. A perfect day for racing here in London, England, as MacLean will race again in the semifinals. And look who is in attendance today. The Prime Minister, Tony Blair, taking in the Red Bull Air Race World Series. The next pilot, the Prime Minister, and the others in attendance today will get a chance to see attack the course is the most colorful character on tour. In the number 69 plane, the Flying Dutchman, the big man, Frank Verstey.
Well, as colorful as he might be, Mike, it seems that gold, silver, and bronze have completely eluded him in this race series.
Yet to get past the first round all season long, winless in head-to-head matchups, but this is the man.
69 Frank cleared into the tracks, smoke on.
Frank Verstey, who likes to bring his Jack Russell Terrier along for rides in his 2-seater extra, and also rides a bicycle around the tarmac when he's not flying, but he's flying now. And he has his hands full in this quarterfinal matchup with the number 3 seed, Peter Besenyei. Verstey is on the track here in London.
This is a really tough matchup for him. Drawing Besenyei is probably the worst thing that could have happened to him, and I promise you, Frank Verstey is going to need more than that Jack Russell Terrier to get out of this one alive.
To me, flying is much more than a passion, and I love to share that passion. And every now and then you take people up in my 2-seater, and an expression I often hear, and also from women, that they consider flying in the 2-seat aerobatic airplane as being much, much better than sex.
All right, partner, do me one favor. Please tell me he's kidding, right?
Well, I think he's not kidding. I'll tell you, though, every man here is thinking the same thing. Please, God, don't be talking about any woman that used my name.
All right, back to the action on the track. And the big man, Frank Verstey, the Flying Dutchman. Now, all kidding aside, at Verstey's size, he's a big man. He is at a distinctive disadvantage.
Absolutely, Mike. These cockpits are small. They're actually made for guys about 170 pounds. There's enough room in there. Not for Frank Verstey. He can probably move the stick 70% as far as a guy like Paul Bonhomme. In addition to that, Mike, he's probably as much as 100 pounds heavier than half of these race pilots. That means in an 8G turn, that airplane's got to carry 800 pounds more when it tries to accelerate.
Don't you always talk about the jockey and the horse? It's a pretty big jockey right there.
Yeah, that's a tired horse.
And that's a beatable time, 1:31.22. Now, before Besenyei hits the track, let's flash back to Switzerland, Alan. Remember, Nicholas Ivanov piloted a controversial aircraft that day, if you will. Some pilots praised him, many were critical, but in the end, when Peter Besenyei went back to think about it, he thought, Nicholas Ivanov, that's a pretty good idea. And for more on that, here's Emma.
We've talked about the controversy over Ivanov's plane. Some pilots are stringently against the ruling, and some are shrugging their shoulders and talking about the progression of the sport. But Peter Besenyei, he simply wants one. Rumours are that Walter Extra of Extra Airplanes is personally overseeing a rush delivery of an extra 300 SR, just like Ivanov's, to Besenyei's hangar. Maybe even as early as next race in Budapest. Guys.
Emma, thank you very much. Alan, it sounds like Peter Besenyei hopes to gain any advantage he can to catch Bonhomme and Mangold in the standings.
Absolutely, Mike. Hey, look, he finishes second in 05 and 06. He knows he's not getting any younger. So even with all the risk associated with a mid-season change of planes, I think this is his best chance of winning.
So Verstappen into the hold and ready to race, Peter Besenyei. Peter Besenyei, barring a minor miracle or a major mistake, should obviously cruise into the semifinal round. He opens up at 223 miles an hour. With that in mind, Alan, we saw earlier Alex MacLean in a situation where the pilot he was competing against was disqualified, and he didn't run at 100%. Besenyei needs to learn the track. He needs to be ready for the next round and take advantage of this opportunity, doesn't he?
Absolutely, Mike. You can depend on Peter Besenyei to never make that kind of a rookie mistake. He flies fast every time. He gets faster every time he's on the race course. And he's more aware than any of us that he's labeled as the perennial bridesmaid. He never has finished first. He was third in the point standing coming into this race. He finished third in Switzerland. He needs to attack these races one at a time, very aggressively. He's got to start getting some wins if he's ever going to win this series.
He is within striking distance still, opening this event 6 points behind our points leader, Paul Bonhomme. But he needs, as you said, to start making up some time. Gate 17, and he's way ahead of the pace set by Frank Verstappen. He should join Mike Mangold in the semifinals in the Final Four. Mangold's time, just so you know, 125.79. to advance and win over Kirby Chambliss. So actually, let's see how close Besenyei gets to that. That will be, I think, a better gauge for us.
That's the key, Mike. If he can get close enough to Mangold's time, look at that. He got the exact same time. Now we're going to see an outstanding race.
31.22, no penalties. Number 2, Peter, 1 minute 25.79, no penalties. Peter goes forward to the semi-final.
Thank you very much, see you later. An incredible time, Peter. Congratulations. Sorry, Frank, next time.
Talk about incredible. Check out this semifinal. Besenyei and Mangold turned in exactly the same quarterfinal times. Alex MacLean has advanced as well. Who will be the 4th member of our Final Four? Will it be Paul Bonhomme or fellow Brit Steve Jones? Find out next, right here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Welcome back to the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Steve Jones is on the track. Jones coming off his first appearance in the Final Four of the season, hoping to make it 2 in a row by knocking off his good friend Paul Bonhomme. Let's see what kind of time he puts up. It's going to be 127.73. Pretty darn good, but I think once again beatable, Alan.
Steve, proceed to hold 3.
I agree with you, Mike. I think it's very beatable. I think Steve's taken a big step back after some incidents he's had, and I know he's flying against his friend and his former teammate, but I promise you, out there on that race course, they're just fierce competitors, and they want to beat each other.
Yep, teammates on the aerobatic circuit, not teammates here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series.
Number 55, Paul, cleared into the track, smoke on.
It's every pilot for themselves. And the man leading the pack right now is Paul Bonhomme, the Brit, and the number 55 plane. Flying here at home, trying to knock off Steve Jones. Opens up brilliantly as always.
That That's what the crowd you're looking at over there came to see. This is their hometown hero. They know he's fast, and they know he's leading the series. They want to see him fly. They want to see him win.
We've talked about this before. Being at home, advantage or disadvantage?
Works both ways every time. If he can avoid all of the pressures, of course it's nice to have everybody there for him, but it's also a burden.
He's the leader so far by 0.79 seconds. Now remember we said the time that Jones posted in the quarterfinals, which was 1:27.73, was right on the top qualifying time, which was owned by Paul Bonhomme, the top seed. So what does Bonhomme have to do better here to advance to the semis?
Well, he's got to do what he's done all year. He's never lost a quarterfinal yet, and he gets faster all the time.
And he is faster right now, faster by nearly 3 seconds at the split. 7 gates remain. Why has Bonhomme gotten faster consistently throughout the season?
You know, I think we've seen Paul Bonhomme make an absolute personality transformation here. He was smooth as glass, and he was consistent, he was winning. And things started to change a little bit, and he decided he was not going to win that championship unless he let the fangs out. And he's really let him out here.
He has won 2 times already this year, looking for his 3rd win. And to build on his points lead, and he has eliminated his former aerobatic teammate, Steve Jones, with a time of 1:25.52.
Number 19, Steve, 1:27.73 with no penalties. Number 55, Paul, 1:25.52 with no penalties. Number 55, Paul, is through to the semi-final.
Thanks very much, everybody. Hey, Steve, I enjoyed that. See you later for you-know-what.
I'm guessing you-know-what's not fish and chips. I'm guessing they're going to meet at the pub. And meeting in the semifinals will be Paul Bonhomme and Alex MacLean. As Bonhomme makes it official, the top 4 seeds advance here in London to the Final 4. Bonhomme, the top seed, against the number 4 seed MacLean. The number 2 Mangold against the number 3 Besenyei. We have so much action ahead on the Red Bull Air Race World Series.
An important free offer for men with balding or thinning hair.
My hair looks better than what it...
Welcome back to London. Welcome back to the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Our semi-finals are set. Paul Bonhomme, the Brit, safely back on the ground after securing his spot in the Final 4. So here it is. The seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4 have advanced. Bonhomme will take on the 4th-seeded Spaniard Alex MacLean. Peter Besenyei, the Hungarian, will face off against the American Mike Mangold in the battle of the number 2 and number 3 seeds. Mike Goldberg, Alan Preston. So, partner, as I mentioned, the Final 4 features the top 4 seeds. MacLean, I suppose, a bit of a wild card, but here we go again with the big 3. Bonhomme, Mangold, and Besenyei.
That's how they got to be known as the Big 3. Mangold, 12-4 on the season. But, you know, interestingly, those 4 losses, 3 of them have been to Bonhomme. Bonhomme, this guy's really in the zone. Now he's got the home crowd right there rooting for him. He's got to be the favorite. And Besenyei, Peter Besenyei has got to be asking himself, what do I have to do to win this series? I'm so close all the time.
So close, but yet he needs these points desperately to keep pace with the top 2 men right now on the series. That, of course, being the Brit Paul Bonhomme and the American Mike Mangold. Now, remember earlier we showed you Bonhomme returning safely to the ground? Believe it or not, that's more difficult than you may think. For more, here's Emma.
Obviously, the pilots are focused on the race at hand, but their nerves are still peaking on approach here at London City Airport. They've got to fight a strong wind and drop down over a huge 6-story building onto a short, narrow landing strip. We've seen some less than perfect landings from some of the best pilots in the world throughout the week. Guys.
Goldie, look right here. This is exactly what Emma's talking about. We see Mike Mangold crabbing into the wind so he can avoid landing in the Thames. But that's not the real problem. He's got to kick it straight here at the end and try to keep that airplane going straight. Not easy with a tail dragger.
Alan, I'm just glad I'm not on board. It will be a wild ride forthcoming, though, with our semifinals coming up next. Besenyei versus Mangold. MacLean faces Bonhomme when we return to London, right here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN.
If the guy's going after you, the chances are he's timed your run. He can probably see the track. He's probably hit the stopwatch when you go through the start gate. If that's a 110 and he's only ever done a 112, that's good, because he's either going to do one or 2 things. He's either going to beat you, unlikely, or he's going to push too hard and make a mistake.
You know, basically what Paul Bonhomme is talking about is measuring what your competition has done. Not unlike if you're Tiger Woods and you know Phil Mickelson's in the clubhouse shooting 67. You know you have to go out and shoot a 66. And if you've never shot a 66 before, Alan, it makes it very difficult. Will MacLean have to shoot a 66 to defeat Bonhomme here in our semifinals? It is the #1 seed against the #4 seed in the first semi here in London.
Number 36, Alejandro, cleared into the tracks. Smoke on.
Alex MacLean, another opportunity to take the step to the next level. 207 miles per hour to begin. And now I want to step back for a second. I almost feel like, even though we didn't meet you, we've kind of beat up Alex MacLean a little bit, talking about the penalties and the inconsistency, when the reality is that he's one of the best in the world, and he has the ability. But what, in your mind, must he do to get to that next level and stay there consistently?
Mike, he's got to recognize that what's holding him back is not his physical skill set or his airplane. It's a place mentally that he can reach where he believes he can win, where he knows he can beat that other pilot down on the track. Michael Jordan taking the last shot at the buzzer. He didn't make every one of them, but he believed he was going to.
He made the majority of them, by the way, and we'll see if that will develop for MacLean at one point. 10 gates to go. Alex MacLean trying to put a nice time on the board here in London that could disappoint the Brit. A time that's unbeatable by Paul Bonhomme. Through the 16th gate. 17th gate he comes air-free, and he has been air-free throughout the weekend.
He's a much improved pilot, and he's showing it today.
Maybe that mental is starting to build. Race by race, destination by destination. #1 against #4. Bonhomme, the points leader. MacLean, the Spaniard. This first semifinal has 2 gates remaining. Let's see the time that Bonhomme will have to beat. He storms to the finish. 1:28.37 seconds. Beatable.
Number 36, Alejandro, proceed to hole 3.
So MacLean will go into the holding pattern. He puts up the time of 1:28.37 seconds. And the top seed, the Brit, is set to hit the track.
Number 55, Paul, cleared into the tracks. Smoke on.
To the track, smoke on 455.
It's been a true joy and pleasure to watch Paul Bonhomme really get into that zone that Alex MacLean is so deeply searching for. He opens up at 223 miles per hour. Across the Thames, past the O2 Arena, and horizontal through gate 4. Oh, the 55 plane is absolutely ripping through this course.
Mike, you're going to see right here why Paul Bonhomme is so good. He started this race like a raging rhino. It is rough down there. It's not easy to point this airplane where he wants it to go, and he still manages to look smooth.
Alan, he started this course like a raging rhino because, as he described to us, he had the stopwatch upstairs when he was in the holding pattern. He knows that MacLean put a decent time down. He knows he has to be very good to advance to the finals. Going vertical here, 765 feet, 10 gates to go, and he has a 2.5 lead.
Paul Bonhomme is one of the best finishers in this race series, and he'll fly the rest of this race course exactly like he started it, hard and fast.
To put it quite simply, from last year to this year, Paul Bonhomme has become what Alex MacLean someday hopes to be, a mentally superior competitor, and he leads by 1.09 seconds. Couple of gates remain for Bonhomme to secure his spot in the finals.
You know, Mike, we talked about that zone earlier that an athlete has to find. They live in that zone, and they're champions. Paul Bonhomme is in that zone.
And Paul Bonhomme is in his 5th straight final, much to the delight of his fellow countrymen here today in London.
28.37, no penalties. Number 55, Paul, 1 minute 26.78, no penalties. Paul wins the semi-final.
Great reaction in the cockpit from Alex MacLean.
Yeah, you can see, he knows he flew a really good race, and he really put up a fast time for him. It's just not quite there yet.
Let's see exactly where Bonhomme won the race, utilizing our dartfish technology.
Mike, I saw something really interesting during this last race. I want you to watch Paul Bonhomme as he exits the quadro. We're going to really get a good picture of what makes him a champion. Right there. He put 2 second separation on Alex MacLean. The race was over right there.
And with that, Bonhomme advances to his 5th final of the year, his 5th straight final in this, our 6th race of the season. Who will he battle in the championship round? Will it be his new arch rival, the number 2 seed, Mike Mangold, or could it be the Godfather, the Hungarian, Peter Besenyei? He'll go head-to-head in this semifinal round coming up against Mangold when we come back on FSN.
The track here in London City is a nice fast track. It's very straight because the river is very narrow. So not so many sharp turns, but it's a long course. And we have, of course, a 270 quadro turn on one end, and we have the half Cuban on the other. So those are the places where you're going to lose time or make up time. We can only make up so much in a straightaway, a couple tenths of a second fast versus slow plane. But in a 270 and a half Cuban, you've got about 2 or 3 seconds you can win or lose there.
Mike Goldberg, Alan Preston, welcome back to London. Welcome back to the semifinal round of the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Mangold set to battle Peter Besenyei to see who will compete in the finals in this Battle of Britain.
Number 2, Peter, cleared into the track. Smoke on.
So Besenyei will be the first to fly here and compete on the track in the semis. And basically what Mike Mangold just said is what you've been saying all season long, Alan, and that is these pilots are very equally talented. The planes are very similar, so it's just the littlest of things that separate the winners from the losers.
Absolutely, Mike. Mangold told us right there the heart of the problem. These airplanes are so close in performance, and every one of these pilots is great. They've got to pick out segments on this racetrack where they think their particular skill set or some unique aspect of their airplane allows them to find the smallest margin, and they can translate that to a victory.
Besenyei looking for that smallest of margins here in what is only the 2nd head-to-head battle of the season between Peter Besenyei and Mike Mangold. The first being in the very first race of the season in the finals in Abu Dhabi when Besenyei was superior. And so far in this semifinal round, he's truly attacking this course.
Absolutely, Mike. Look right here. This is the Peter Besenyei we used to know. This is the guy I wanted to see at every single race. He is flying this race course like it's the only race he's ever going to get to fly.
And he's making a statement. Bonhomme and Mangold, this isn't a 2-horse race. I'm still a factor.
He's making a great statement right here. He is stalking them with guns hot right now. He is so close to their tails, he can taste the victory.
2 gates to go. Peter Besenyei storms to the finish. Oh, what a time. 1:25.47 seconds. The fastest time of the day.
3.
Take that, Mike Mangold. Peter Besenyei, absolutely outstanding. And remember, as ironic as it is, in the quarterfinal round,
Number 3, Mike, cleared into the track. Smoke on.
both Mike Mangold and Peter Besenyei had identical times of 1:25.79 seconds. But now the new time to beat for Mangold, 1:25.47. The number 2 seed is on the track here in the semis, 221 miles per hour, finding that new mental edge or perhaps returning to the mental toughness that he displayed when he was the World Series champion 2 seasons ago.
I can see it right here, Mike. Remember, you said this earlier in the season. Champions aren't always great, but they dig down deep and they're great when they have to be. Watch Mike Mangold right here attack this course. He is pulling hard. He's fighting that airplane, and it's bumpy down there. This is not an easy race course. He's showing us what he's made of right here, right now.
And interestingly enough, last season, he couldn't find that extra little bit. Throughout this season, he's been able to do so. 775 feet. Plummets back towards the Thames River. He leads by 0.76 seconds at the 2nd split.
Mike, I'm loving this. Peter Besenyei threw down the gauntlet with that 1:25.47 he laid down. And that's just a little faster than either Mangold or he flew in the quarterfinals. But we're watching Mike Mangold rise to the challenge right here. He's picking that gauntlet up.
And he has increased his lead at the split. Gate 19. 4 gates to go. Can Mangold hold on to face Bonhomme in the finals of this Battle of Britain. 2 gates remain. Mangold is on it. He will storm to the finish. And Mike Mangold is in the finals.
Man, that is exactly what I'm talking about.
Number 2, Peter, 1 minute 25.47, no penalties. Number 3, Mike, 1 minute 24.79, no penalties. Mike wins the semifinal.
Thank you very much. Very nice job, Peter. Pleasure racing against you.
You see the reaction of Peter Besenyei. Eliminated in the semifinals by less than 0.7 of a second. Back to this great semifinal utilizing our dartfish technology.
Mike Mangold told us earlier, you have to find one section of the race course where you can be better. This is his section right here. He pulled harder, faster, and he won the race.
And with that, for the 3rd straight time, the finals will feature Paul Bonhomme and Mike Mangold. Mangold won the battle in Istanbul, Turkey. Bonhomme got his revenge in our last event in Switzerland. Who will win the Battle of Britain? Find out next on FSN. Welcome back to London. Welcome back to the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. A moment ago, in the consolation matchup for 3rd place, Peter Besenyei was able to better that man, the Spaniard Alex MacLean. This was the 5th meeting of the season between Besenyei and MacLean, and it is Besenyei who now leads 3-2.
Penalties. Peter takes 3rd place at London.
Peter Besenyei earning some much-needed points because, as we see again, Mangold and Bonhomme separate themselves from the rest of the pack. Top 2 seeds, top 2 point earners on the series, winners of the last 2 races face off in the finals.
Absolutely. I'm not surprised at all, Mike, to see these 2 guys in the final, but I'm impressed with the way they have separated themselves from everybody else in handling these conditions. When they're down there on that racetrack, every single time out is different, and those adjustments that they're forced to make are what put these 2 in the final, and it hasn't slowed them down at all.
It'll be interesting to see if adjustments are needed in the finals, and if so, who adjusts more effectively and who walks away the winner here in the Battle of Britain. Mike Mangold will be the first to fly, looking for his 2nd win of the season.
Number 3, Mike, cleared into the track, smoke on.
The number 2 seed, the American, Mangold, will be the first to hit the track. Mike Mangold is on it, 223 miles per hour.
This tiger right in front of you right now has got victory in his eyes. He knows exactly what he's got to do to beat Paul Bonhomme, one of the best. He's got to fly this airplane like his life depends on it. He's not going to take an extra breath. He's not going to delay whipping that stick back and forth left to right. He's going to work those pedals. He's going to keep that gas pedal all the way to the floor.
So far, an outstanding run here in the finals for Mike Mangold. Mangold has gotten better in each run here today. A 125.79, a 124.79 in the semis, which is the fastest time that has been posted this weekend. Can he be even better here? Gate 13, horizontal through the blue gate. He pulls knife edge around the red and through the tricky chicane.
I don't know if he can be better. I'm not even sure he can be as good, but I can tell you this. I don't think it's humanly possible to fly that airplane any more aggressively, to pull any harder, to get any closer to those pylons, and stay alive.
Gate 18, the Quadro. 5 gates to go. Mangold, 13-4 overall this season. 3 of his 4 losses have been to Paul Bonhomme. 2 gates to go. Mike Mangold storms to the finish. Oh, what a time. 125.82 seconds. The question now, will it be good enough? Bonhomme races next when we return to London on the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Welcome back to the finals of the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. The 43-year-old Brit, Paul Bonhomme, looking to secure his 3rd win of the season. The time to beat, 125.82 seconds.
Number 55, Paul, cleared into the track, smoke on.
Enter the track, smoke on, 455.
Bonhomme, number 55, is on it, 22 miles per hour. This is truly an Olympic battle when you consider the fact that milliseconds are going to separate once again our champion from the man who takes home the silver.
Mike, milliseconds and weather conditions. The wind is picking up down on the course right now. It's actually going to make it a little more difficult for Paul Bonhomme than it was for Mike Mangold.
You know, conditions being factored today, our event is like the Olympics, where milliseconds separate the gold medalist from the silver medalist.
Absolutely, Mike. These guys have spent their entire life training for this event right in front of us. And all it takes is a blink of an eye to separate number 1 from number 2, and they know that.
Bonhomme through gate 13, blink of an eye, and perhaps that win you were talking about. Now he's a half-second behind at the split.
Paul Bonham's got an uphill battle right here. The winds are really picking up. He can feel it in the airplane. It's bouncing him all over the place. He knows every time that wind knocks him off course, he's got to make a control input. It's slowing him down. These weather conditions could cost him this win right here.
He's now 0.87 seconds behind. Can he make it up with 4 gates remaining? Pulling as hard as humanly possible. Headed to the finish. Paul Bonhomme. 127.25. Mangold has won the race.
Number 55, Paul, 1 minute 27 seconds, .25, no penalties. Number 3, Mike, 1 minute 25.82, no penalties. Winner of Red Bull Air Race London is number 3, Mike.
Thank you very much, London. Hey, pleasure to be here in the city. You know, even the colonies can come back and do a nice job here. Appreciate it, Paul. Honor racing against you.
A huge victory for Mangold. Take a look at our dartfish technology.
You know, we're going to see a little bit of a surprise this time. The weather really changed this race for Paul Bonhomme. If you watch him really closely, you see all the adjustments he's got to make because of the turbulence caused by the wind down low in that water. Every one of those adjustments slows that airplane down just enough. It cost him the race today.
And with the win, Mangold's second of the season head-to-head against Paul Bonhomme. Mike Mangold pulls to within 1 point of our points leader. Bonhomme has a total of 31. Mangold has 30, Besenyei trying to stay in the hunt, and realistically, Kirby Chambliss will not defend his World Series title. Down on the tarmac with our winner, Emma Griffiths.
So, Mike, you've lived with a yellow card against you all day. You were one warning away from being disqualified, and yet you never pulled back.
I did pull back. I mean, that's in the back of your head the whole time flying out throughout the day. I tried to keep my altitude up, not fly so crazy that they get scared. I felt like I was pulling that anchor behind me, the yellow card, but that's the rules.
What do you predict for Budapest?
More speed, more fast.
Winning.
I think you better watch out for Peter because Peter's got some stuff coming, and so let's see what Peter shows up with, and I think that may be the one to watch.
Well, Mike, congratulations.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Back to you guys.
Emma, thank you very much. So here's the situation. 4 races remain. A single point separates number 1 from number 2. I know you love this because what we have right now is a good old-fashioned dogfight.
It's the very best kind of dogfight, Mike. We got 2 of the top guys in the world, mano a mano. And I got to tell you, how do you pick a favorite? Either one of these guys can run away with the whole thing.
You know, ironically, Mangold, though, couldn't win in the States. Bonhomme could not win in Britain. Next stop, Budapest, Hungary. Peter Besenyei's home. I've got to ask you about Peter Besenyei. Is he still a factor or not?
Oh, absolutely. They made a mistake leaving this guy hanging around. He's been stalking him from day one. It takes one major mistake by Bonhomme or Mangold. Get an early elimination, he's right back in the hunt.
No mistakes made by Mangold today, though, as he captures the crown and he wins the Battle of Britain. Mangold earning his 2nd win of the season. Bonhomme number 2, Besenyei number 3. For my partner, Alan Preston, Mike Goldberg saying so long from London, England, where you've been watching the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN.